people with different stories to just let you know that even your own story can turn around. And also to remind you what the Bible says, that you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. Happy new 2023. Indeed, this is God's grace that we have been able to see this new year. And we thank God so much. And I want to thank you, specifically you, for choosing the Let Out Show to be your channel of choice this amazing Saturday. So today we have a guest who is going to talk to us and tell us how she survived a very traumatizing childhood. Stay tuned and I believe you're going to be blessed. Liz, karibu sana.
Asante.
Thank you so much for choosing the Let Out Show and also for choosing to come and to be a blessing to each and every one of us, and especially the viewer who is watching us now. So Liz, I want you to do a very brief introduction about yourself. So you're going to tell us your full name, what you're doing, and maybe your marital status is at now.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth Mihaki Jenga. I was born in 1990. Yeah, so currently I work here in Nairobi. I have a shop at RNG Plaza. I do sell display items for the people who sell clothes. Yeah, I am married and I have 3 beautiful kids. Yeah, and I love God. I love Jesus. I'm born again. Yeah, so I'm here to share my story.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Liz. Indeed, I'm so humbled that out of your very busy schedule, which I know, you have gotten time to come and grace this show. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So Liz, is this post I saw, and I think, was it trending in Twitter? No, not in Twitter. It was in Tuko, and also in TikTok. And you are talking about your traumatizing childhood, and there's this specific thing that you kept mentioning, that she never held my hand, which I want to assume this was your mother. Liz, tell us what happened between you and your mom, and at what point or at what time did you realize that there was a disconnect between you and your mom?
Okay. Yeah, so from the very beginning, my mom had an issue with like having a family. Yeah, so she grew up in a big family. She was the second born in a family of 9. So she had this, what she saw growing up was like the more the children, the less the share she had of the resources the parents had. So from the very beginning, she had a negative attitude about children, because now she would see siblings coming, and from her words, the bread became less and less. Yeah, so it's just something that she grew up in, and so when she got pregnant with me, she changed. She just wanted to abort me. So from the very beginning, she did not want me. Yeah, and so it happened that somebody told her, you know, this is your first pregnancy. If you abort, some things can happen, and due to our nature as human beings, you don't want something to happen to you maybe in the future because of aborting. She just decided to keep me. Yeah, so she kept the pregnancy, and when she gave birth to me, then she changed her mind again. She didn't want this baby, and so she chose not to breastfeed me. She didn't want to clean my soiled nappies or anything. Yeah, so it was a tough childhood for me. Yeah, so but God came through. There's a grandmother of mine who is 70 years right now. She told me that she prayed for me at that time and for the situation, and my mother accepted to breastfeed me. So I was breastfed, and then with time she felt no, she just can't stand having and staying with the baby. So she told my late grandmother, who was now her mom, she told her, me, I'm off to Nairobi. If you want to draw this kid, you can draw her at the shamba. For me, she just said, I'm done.
So that's your late grandmother. So that's the mother to your mom.
Yeah.
So there's this one you've mentioned with 70 years.
Yeah.
So you've also said that she's your grandma.
Yeah.
So which grandma? No, the mother to your dad, or?
She's the sister not to my late grandma.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
She's the only surviving sibling of
Yeah.
my grandma. Yeah, right now.
So Liz, I would love us to go step by step and we get to understand. Okay, we start with the first things. You've said that you Haki Jenga.
Yeah.
Tell us, so you have a dad.
No, I don't have a dad.
So who is
Jenga, yeah, Jenga is my grandpa.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
took the surname of your
yeah,
grandpa.
yeah,
And
yeah.
are you the only child?
Only child, yes.
Also, clearly your mom never wanted to have a
She
kid.
didn't want a kid, so she would tell me with my friend if she ever got pregnant again, she would have just aborted.
Okay, Liz, let me get to know. Now, so of course, when you were little, you didn't know that your mom wouldn't want to breastfeed you and also to change your nappies. So, who gave you this information?
For the breastfeeding part, it's my grandma, not the 70-year-old, who told me. Just this year, she told me that when she realized that I'm her granddaughter, now she took me back and told me, by the way, when you were born, your mom didn't want to breastfeed you. I knew she didn't want me, but I didn't know that part of that my grandmother prayed, and that's why she accepted to breastfeed me. But I was breastfed by my mother and an aunt of mine, because most of the time she didn't want to breastfeed me. So luckily God just plans things, and there was an aunt of mine who was also nursing my cousin in the same house. So I would breastfeed on her, and also sometimes when my mom is in the mood, I would also breastfeed on her.
So, was she ever there, like presently, or she could just maybe wake up, leave you, and go without anyone's care?
Luckily, she was housed by the mother. Yeah, so there was ever other people, the sisters. The sisters were in the house, they were still young. Yeah, so if I'm crying, there's a sister who wants to hold me, not my aunts.
Yeah.
They would want to hold me. Though she didn't even like that, she would tell them, leave her, like, let her just cry. Why is she crying? Leave her alone. Yeah, but I got people who held my hand. Yeah, my aunt, a late aunt of mine, I posted a picture of her. She was holding me when I was very young, like maybe 2 months, 1 month. Yeah, so I got other hands to hold me. Yeah, so when even she was leaving me, I had other people to hold me.
Okay, maybe yes, there's something I haven't told you that about Liz. We used to school with her the same primary school. And Liz, when we were in school, you looked very okay. You were in boarding. Okay, I was a day scholar, but you were a boarder. And what we knew about boarders is these parents are financially okay to be able to take the kids to boarding school. And also, you are always very smart. Your shoe was always polished. Your clothes were always on point. So give us a journey, your journey from now, little childhood, to now going to primary school, going to boarding school, going to high school, now up to the person you are today. Can you take us through that whole process?
Okay. Yeah, so after, in those now, when she left me with my grandma, with time my grandmother forced her to take me, and then they had provided her a house, a free house, so she wasn't paying rent. So I had a roof over my head to stay with. So in class 1, my grandmother then felt pity for me and took me back to the village, and I studied there, primary school, class 1 and 2. Then my mother came, and then she saw my condition in the village. I think by now, that time when I was in class 2, she had started to see, I think this baby, since she's still here, like she's not dead, she can also be an investment plan for me. Because I'm making money, why not invest in her education, and then in the future, I can reap from her. The way, give her education, then in the future when she gets a job, she can recover. Yeah, she can recover back her money, and make at least have an investment. So when she came to the Sharks when I was in class 2, she didn't like the condition of the way I looked, even the education there. So she decided to take me to a boarding school. And that time, because of the classes there, she saw I was not fit I would not pass the exams for the primary school, Kalimoni. So she took me to a private school in class 3, around the place where she lived. Yeah, so at least in a private school, I got to now attend the interview for class 4 Kalimoni Primary School, and I passed. Yeah, so that's how my journey in boarding started, where we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I call boarding school a necessary evil. For me, it was necessary. If I was to live with my mom, the only way to survive was me being in a boarding school. Because now at night, she's not there. I'm sleeping alone. She was a call girl. Yeah, so at night she's not there. So you're sleeping alone and there's no house help. At that time when I was in class 3, there was no house help. So I'd just sleep alone. My neighbors would help me lock the door. So at least in boarding you get that security, you get food, you get at least a companion, because now there I'm alone at home. So it was like just a very necessary role for me. Yeah, and that's how I was able to study, go to high school. Also, high school is a boarding school.
Yeah, just to cut you short, back in primary school, you used to have visiting days,
Yeah.
and your mom used to visit without a fail, I suppose.
Yeah.
Every visiting day
Yeah.
she used to come.
Yeah.
But there are some photos that you had posted online. I think if you can find them, we'll post them in this show. I realized that you were saying that she never used to hold your hand, and every time you seated together, you know, like you just seated, yes, but seems like there's a total disconnect.
Yeah.
So how was your relationship when she used to come and visit you? And since, okay, let me ask, when did you realize, like when did it start affecting you that my mom does not love me? And how did you take it?
She was very open about it from the very beginning, from whichever age I was able to understand. You know, even from when I was months old, you can tell the body language, this person does not want you. So she was very open and made sure every chance she had with me, she would tell me I'm hopeless, you'll be hopeless, you don't have a brother, you don't have a sister, you don't have a dad, you'll just be hopeless in life. But no, one thing she forgot is that if you are planning to get an investment back from this person, you need to also invest love. But she never invested any love in me. She just spewed hate in every chance. So even those visiting days would end up with me feeling low. She would make sure she has just communicated that, you know, I'm doing this, like, but it's not because I love you. Now it's giving you like the school fees, but not because I love you. Yeah.
Like she could tell you on your face.
She didn't hide anything. I just knew, like, I'm just there, but always wishing she just had aborted me from the day one.
So all through, what was going through your mind? Did you ever get suicidal?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind all
Yeah.
that time?
At 10 years, that's when I was now done, like 10 years of pain. I felt, let me just end this. Yeah, so I wrote my suicide letter, said it's my mom was caused me to do it. But then I don't know what happened in between because I didn't commit suicide. And then with time, then you now learn, God just teaches you how to cope. So laughter is medicine, as the Bible says. So I used to watch a lot of comedy in primary, though I'm watching alone, but just you laugh it out, it heals the internal pain. Because now I was suffering mentally. So when you laugh it out, in case there's any trauma in the body, and dancing too, singing. So I ended up loving music, and then she also loved music. So there was a big radio in the house. The tapes are there, so I'd write songs. I just ended up loving music, and that was now my coping mechanism.
Yeah, it was an escape route.
Yeah,
and
it was very healing. It was very healing.
So tell me, Liz, at 10 years, you're already getting suicidal.
Yeah.
Because I want to believe that a 10-year-old may not really understand that you can run away from pain through maybe killing yourself or something. So what way had you thought of taking away your life? Which method?
So that is where I didn't get.
Okay,
I didn't get to that part. I just wrote a letter. You know, like when you have watched many series, you know, people, if you're committing a suicide, you have to write at least a letter so that you can explain, like, why did you do it? But no, I didn't get to that part. Like, am I going to cut myself? Am I going to hang myself? I didn't get to that part.
Because you had no clue.
Yeah, I just Thank God I just didn't get to that part. Because if it's cutting a wrist, there are so many things you can just get and cut your wrist.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I didn't get to that part.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
So now, back in high school, so the situation is still the same between you and your mom.
Yeah.
So, I assume you always preferred staying in school instead of even going home.
Yeah.
So how was it when you always went back home? Or did you used to go to your grandma, or still in the same house where your mom is? That's where you used to go.
Yeah, so the thing about abuse, when you live with this somebody who has abused you from a very young age, you end up having something called trauma bond. So I had an option, like in high school, my grandma was just 30 minutes away. I could even walk if there was no car. But I would take a car, three vehicles to get home. So right now, that is why I ask myself, like, why wouldn't I go to my grandma? Even my grandma would be like, kwa nini? Why are you not coming to visit me? I would go to my mom. So there's something called trauma bond. And then also now, I had now the TV and the radio to cope with. Yeah.
And was she physical at any point, physical abuse?
Only in primary school.
She used to, like, was it so severe or just the normal kind of?
It was not severe, because I would say if God allowed her to be severe, she would have killed me. Because the few times I remember up to date, this one time she slapped me and I got a problem with my ear. So you see, like, when somebody is beating you with hate, they will finish you. Yeah, so it was in very few instances that I remember when she would beat me physically.
And so this problem was majorly caused by the fact that when she was growing up, there were so many siblings and maybe the bread on the table was always less. Or was there anything else? Or maybe abuse maybe by the other gender, the men? Did you ever try to find out what exactly could have caused this kind of hatred that she had towards such an innocent soul? Apart now from them being so many, because I don't find it being a very enough reason for her to hate her own blood, just because there are so many of them. Have you ever tried to find out whether there could have been any other thing that maybe your mom was going through?
Okay, she also did not, she was not in a good relationship with the mother. Okay. Yeah, so, and being that she called me Elizabeth, now there's like already the hatred, like passed down the hatred.
Oh, Elizabeth is your
Yeah, and she named me after my grandma. So there's also that hatred from the her mother, pass it down to now the child who is named after the mother.
After the mother.
Yeah.
No, you know what I'm trying to look at. You are such an innocent girl. All you need is love. You know, when babies are growing up, all they know is love. They feed on love. They survive on love, purely love. So here it's something that it has totally been deprived of you.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? What was going through your mind? Because there's a photo I saw, and I wish we can get that photo so that we can share with our viewers. But I saw that photo. You are trying to lift your hand so that you can hold your mom, but her hand is totally away from your hand. So at that point, were you feeling unworthy, and did it affect your esteem as a small girl? What was going through your mind? Just help me understand.
So you just grow up broken inside, and the brokenness the society can see. So you just learn to cry yourself to sleep, then in the morning, by noon you are well, then cry again at night. Yeah, so you just cope with that.
So there's a post I saw on Facebook. You had said that there's a time, because of all the trauma you've gone through and the pain, you had thought of converting your faith from Christianity to Muslim. So tell us, so what triggered that? And do you see like God has forsaken you, know the God that Christians worship is forsaken you? What made you want to take that direction?
I've been an atheist 4 times, like aloud, telling my husband I'm an atheist 4 times. Because now you see, when you never have a relationship with your parents, it's hard to form a relationship with God. Because on earth you don't have a relationship with the one who is supposed to be like in the Bible, there's some verses that say like your mom is your second God. So if you don't have a relationship with that person, even in Muslim, they treat their mothers like gods. Yeah, they place mothers so highly. And so you get like you're not having a relationship with God, and then you're just like, oh, maybe I better not believe in God.
So because you know, we normally say that actually the Bible says that God is love.
Yeah.
So you had not experienced
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
because there was. So that's why maybe you are thinking of maybe playing around with
Yeah.
religions,
Yeah.
because actually it had no impact on you.
Yeah.
But as you were starting this show, you say that you are born again.
Yeah.
You're a born again
Yeah.
Christian. So how did it happen? How did God reach out to you from your devastated place and from your broken heart? How did God reach out to you to a point that you are convinced and convicted to give your life to Jesus?
Okay. So this year, there's another grandma of mine who passed away, and that's when I met now the grandma who said she prayed for me when my mother would not nurse me. So when I met her, she asked me, "Can I pray for you?" I told her no, because now the grandma who had passed away had told me about this grandma. She's about prayers, and she does not, like, they seem not to be prayers to God. So when she asked me, "Can I pray for you?" I was, no, I don't want. And then that time I was an atheist.
Yeah.
So I'm an atheist. She wants to pray for me. The stories I know about her, I've heard about her. I don't relate.
at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. So, but I said now that she's the only sibling of my grandma who is still alive, I have to take my children the next day to see her. Yeah, because now she was near home. So the next day when I took my children to see her, she looked at my daughter, my second born, who is 6 years old, and she was having asthmatic attacks. So the moment she looked at her, she just told me, "This baby, she has issues with her chest." I was like, "Yes." And she told me she'll pray for her. She just asked me for the for the name. Yeah, so during the night, she prayed for her between 9 p.m. to 10 a.m. And my daughter that night never coughed, and she has never had an asthmatic attack since April this year. Yeah, so looking at that, and my husband was there to witness it. So the next day I told her, yeah, she has not coughed today, and she's well. So looking at that, and then I remember the miracles in the Bible, I was like, then there's God. Like, God does exist. Truly there's God, because doing that for my daughter, and she had suffered like those night attacks. Yeah, she's coughing every night. She can't sleep. She loses weight. She's sweating. So it was a very tough time for us. And seeing her healing, definitely, I went back to God. I went back to God, yeah.
So it was that same day?
Yeah, the same day she prayed, the same day the attacks left her.
So we can say that God reached out to your heart through your daughter,
Yeah.
by healing
Yeah,
your daughter.
yeah.
And so from there, that's when, did you feel any change in your heart? Did you feel like in case there was any resentment, like it was gone? Or how did you feel so for you to believe that actually there is a God that exists?
The first thing I really wanted to change, my daughter is named after my mom.
Yeah.
That time she was having attacks, I really wanted to change her name. I was like, she's suffering because I named her after my mom. Yeah, so after that, there was like, I just felt free. I didn't want to change her name again. My husband even asked me about the name change. I just told her after she got healed, I'm now at peace.
Yeah.
I'm at peace with the name, Jerry. I don't regret naming her Jerry. Yeah, so then I went to a church, and the preaching was about the prodigal son coming back home. And then the preacher there was also called Jerry. Now she told me, like, it's not about the name. Like, we all have our fingerprints are different. Yeah. Like, God created you different. Just because you are named Jerry doesn't mean that the other Jerry, like, you'll have the same things. Like, God made us different. Yeah. He impacted different gifts in every one of us. And to say the truth, my daughter, she's very loving, very loving. She doesn't want to see anybody in pain. If you give us mandazis to go to school, she'll come back with some mandazis like, Mama, I left this piece for you. So she's just love. She's just love. Yeah. So totally different from my mom. She just sends out love to everybody.
And it is now through that, you started going
Yeah,
to
you
church.
can now see God is love. Yeah.
Yeah. You started going to church, and slowly by slowly God changed your heart.
Yeah.
Not to a point that now you are fully convinced that there is a God in
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
This is such a testimony. So, even before we end up on the issue of your mom, how is your relationship with her right now?
Since June, I decided to cut the relationship, to end it. I don't talk to her. She's blocked. So even yesterday, I was looking at the block numbers and I saw September she tried to reach me, November she tried to reach me, but she can't reach me. Yeah, so I ended the relationship because I saw it's a relationship that won't end well. It was extremely toxic. The only way it would end is through a premature death.
So right now you can't say that you know a mother's love.
I don't know. I've never experienced.
So that statement transits us to my next question. You are a mom of 3 amazing children, and you are a wife. So that means there is still love inside of you that oozes out. That's why you are able to love a man and you are able to bear him children. So tell us, how was your perception towards men before you got married? Now that you knew that love was not a good thing anymore, like you never knew anything about love, and how is your relationship with your kids?
Okay. Now I told you laughter is my medicine.
Yes.
So when I met my husband, every time he would be with me, like when we were dating in campus, I would just be laughing. I would just be laughing. Even people in the hostel would say they know he's around when they hear my laughter. Yeah, so I found, then he's a person who does not judge. So, when somebody is not judgmental, they have at least they can show you love despite your past. Yeah. So I found love. I didn't even have to think about men. Being that I didn't have a father, many people don't get married because of how their fathers treated their mothers. So for me, that part is zero, there's nothing. So I don't have any negative. I can't say men are bad because I've never seen my mom with my father. Yeah, so I can't say it affected me. So when I came to marriage, I have no history. I can't say I came from a domestic violence home, so I'm not getting married. Yeah, so that is one gift I got from my mom being single. I don't have another. I can't compare my husband to my dad. I didn't have a dad. So how he came, for me, is just pure love.
And how is your relationship with your kids, your 3 kids?
Yeah, it's a very good relationship. My kids love me. They know I love them. Yeah, so I try my best to be there time-wise, to provide for them financially if they need anything and I have the money. I try my best to work very hard to provide for them and to provide for them in the right way. Yeah, doing godly business. Yeah, because now for me, when my mom was selling herself to pay school fees, it affected me. In high school, I spent 4 years with headaches because now at 12 years I learned what she was doing to pay the school fees, to buy the food. So I could not even live happy. So I had headaches every day for 4 years. Yeah. And I would not want that for my kids. I want my kids to know what I sell. Yeah, because even that, knowing what she was doing, I didn't even discuss with her. I learned it from a letter, and I didn't discuss with her. I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell my friends, so I just kept it inside. Yeah, and just pray for her. Yeah, so I like to make sure I work really hard to provide for my babies.
And whenever maybe you're bringing up your kids, there are times kids can really be annoying and they can upset you. Do you normally have raptures of maybe emotional outbursts? Because I believe when you were growing up and because of the pain and the trauma and everything, the small Liz in you really got affected. Did that small Liz get time to heal, or do you normally have episodes whereby you rapture anger, outbursts? You can just even pour it out on your child, on your innocent child. Maybe mtoto amefanya something very small, but then you find yourself you're overreacting. Do you normally have such situations?
Yeah, I have them almost daily.
Okay.
Because now I have a small son, so he will be crying, yeah, crying. And now I remember the instances my mom would be like, don't touch them, don't hold them, let her just cry, as in don't hold her, let her just cry. Why is this baby crying? So I do have those, but I'm still healing. Yeah, and I tell God, like, one day it will come a time when I get to the gate, I release all my stress there and enter a happy mom.
Yeah.
Now, because I grew up in a home that was just an angry home. Yeah, the only emotion I got from my mom was anger all the time. Just anger. So I try my best at least to show happiness to my kids. Even when I'm taking those photos, they see me smiling. I want them to at least know I'm a happy mom. Yeah, and those instances when they come up, I try my best to control myself, not to say a hurtful word. Yeah, because now my mom would do with very words, and these words you can't forget them.
Yeah, and then you know the beauty is you already know. At
Yeah.
times you might, you'll always know that this child is not that bad.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah.
The problem is me. The
Yeah.
problem is not the child.
Yeah.
So with that, because of self-discovery, you've been able now even to put yourself together.
Yeah.
In that composure.
Yeah.
So now tell me, right now from the side of your family, now which relative do you have that is so close that even if things are bad, you have someone to run to?
Yeah.
You have that relative from the side of your mom.
No, that's my grandma.
Oh, the one
Yeah,
who's now 70.
yeah, 70 years. Yeah, so she's very prayerful. So whenever I'm like now at my end and I need somebody to call, I call my grandma.
Okay.
I just call her Shosho Salome, and then she tells me, Sasa sister, because I'm named after her sister.
Wow.
So she's like, hey sister, hi.
Liz, I am so encouraged by your story, and to just let you know, my viewer, I know it's not only Liz. Liz is a sample of so many of us who've gone through very, very painful and traumatizing childhood. I want to tell you this one thing for sure, based on the story of Liz, that you can get over it. Do not let your past pull you to your present, but you can choose to rise above and fly up above. I believe that you have been so much blessed. And Liz, tell us what you do. Maybe somebody could be interested in your business.
Okay. I sell mannequins, hangers, and also clothes at Ronangala Street, RNG Plaza. I'm at first floor, room F12, and I would love if you would support me in any way, maybe by a referral or even step into the shop and buying mannequins.
Wow, absolutely. Please make your way to that place. If you need mannequins, if you do business of clothes, she will always sort you out. So thank you so much for taking time to listen to us. And once again, I want to remind you that you can do all things through Christ, who is your strength. Until next time, keep it the Little Show. Thank you. And remember to subscribe, share, and like this channel. God bless you. Till next time, ciao.
Did it leave you broken? Just speak it out and left you so confused. Oh, share it.